Okay, hello everyone, and welcome back to World of Tanks Blitz. We're here going to be taking a look at the Gravedigger, rather, one of the two new premium tanks for this Halloween. It's been an absolute nightmare for me to actually win any sort of battles during this Halloween. As you can see, string of defeats. Yeah, it's just not been fun. Blitz sort of broke, it wouldn't let me join in, it deleted itself after Steam froze and crashed. Yeah, it's just been an absolutely fun time this Halloween. We're here on this new map, a new hangar therefore. The map is called Junkyard or something, to celebrate Mad Games, which is a special event during the Halloween where you can get special bonuses and things, and it's a decent enough event, but I just have been getting teams which have been doing their utmost best to lose every single game. But hey, enough about that. Let's look at the Gravedigger, this tier 7 premium collector's item, which is why the collector's tank, which is why the name is in this, I don't know, sort of bluish silver colour, because it's not it's a premium tank, but it's also a collector's tank. You'll never be able to get it from the tech tree. So yeah, new colour for the name. But yeah, so let's have a look at it. 59% protection, 54% firepower, 60% shot effectiveness, and 33% manoeuvrability. Which means that this is a decent enough tank. 350 HP compared to something like the IS-2, which has got, oh, there we go, 1300. Tankenstein, which has got 1435 with the upgrade. Tiger's got 1450. The Predator Ultramarines, that's got 1400, so it doesn't have the most HP out of all of the tier 7 heavies, but it is a decent enough HP pool. The armour is very good. 180 for the frontal hull, 82 for the sides, 57 for the rear, 180 for the front of the turret, 52 for the sides, and 82 for the rear. So the rear armour is nothing special, as it isn't on every single other tank in the game pretty much, nor is the side armour. Side armour for the turret is decent enough thickness, big old slab of steel on there, but the frontal armour is really where it's at. It's very much a frontal facing heavy. It does have a turret which is rather similar to the mouse, where it's got this sort of centralised area. This is going to be the weakest part, as it were. This is going to be the bit where it's 180 straight from the front. And so, like the mouse, you're going to want to keep on angling and wiggling around this frontal armour so that no one gets a decent clear shot on it. But other than that, very sloped, very rounded. Commander's cupola up here. This is going to be obviously the frontal weak spot, as is perhaps the turret ring, because that is a pretty thick old turret ring with 2 C's. But other than that, the front of it, very, very nicely sloped. Look at that frontal sloping on the front of the tank there, and indeed the lower glacis is nothing to it is nothing to worry about either, really, if you're in this tank, because that's a decent enough sloping on it, unlike something like the Tiger, which has got a rather less extreme sloping angle on its tank there. We see reflectiveness from, I don't know what, it makes the tank look gold though, which is nice. But yeah, so the overall armour, very decent. You could try side scraping, but as you can see, these bits here, they're not actual armour. This is just sort of a side plating which covers part of the road wheels down there. Very Mad Max style themed tanks, these two, the Scavenger and the Gravedigger, because I believe the designer of these tanks that the Tanks Blitz got in was a designer for the Mad Max vehicles, so hence the reasoning why there. But yeah, if you were planning to side scrape, I mean, the 152 is this flat plate here, which you can see sort of under the road wheels here, which means that this is really only spaced armour, if it even counts as spaced armour. But it does have some spikes on it, and it does look rather nice. Looks like it came from a scrapyard. But yeah, so overall armour, very nice, very good protection. As you can see, the 59%, it does have very strong frontal armour. Manoeuvrability, it weighs 75 tons, but it does have a 1055 horsepower engine with some of the necessary upgrades, which means it does go at 36 kilometers per hour top speed, 32.8 degrees per second hull, and 24.5 degrees per second turret traverse, which means that it is well, it's not a particularly mobile tank. Certainly not compared to something like the Tiger here, which has got which is a very rather mobile, heavy tank. Yeah, I mean for a heavy, it's pretty mobile, but it's not the worst mobility, not the worst mobility of any tank. I mean, for example, the Predator, that's a pretty unmanoeuvrable tank. Yeah, as you can see by the stats, so it's not particularly unmanoeuvrable. It's just the standard old heavy tank sort of mobility. Nothing to particularly complain or cry about either. As for suspension, the suspension is heavy tread apparently. Interesting. 130 ton load limit, so you can sort of stack another tank on top of this before the suspension starts hurting, so very strange why they've gone for that, but hey. As for the turret is the crow's nest. Again, very strange naming of some of these parts. But yeah, 262 meters view range. Nothing too shabby. As for the engine, you apparently just got a furnace in the back of the engine. 20% chance of fire and impact. I mean, the exhausts are somewhere sort of around here. I think these are meant to be the exhausts. Well, I'm not too sure, but they do spit fire. Similar to the Tankenstein, where these things have fire coming out the back of these exhaust pipes. So does the Gravedigger and does the Scavenger. The Scavenger's got more pronounced exhaust pipes there, and like those does have fire out of them, but I can't see why the Gravedigger wouldn't either. But hey, there's that. Oh, that's the wrong tank. But now we come to the biggest thing, which is the gun. It's apparently a nail gun. I just love the idea of having a nail gun to destroy tigers. It seems like a very strange thing to use. But it is a 57mm gun. Yeah, that's right, 57mm. It's a 6-pounder. Mark, what's that? 36? It's a 36 Mark 6-pounder, which is a lot of numerals. But it is a decent gun. 6 shells in the magazine with around a 0.7 second reload time between each shell and a 11 and a quarter second magazine complete reload time. The average penetration just under a 122mm gun, which for a 57 is not that bad. So it does have 170 average pen with AP, 230 with APCR and 20 with HE. So HE, nothing too surprising there, because I mean the 87 has got a 57mm, and yeah, that's also very, very weak average pen. But the difference between these two 6-pounders is that you look at the barrel length of the set of the 6-pounder on the 87, and you look at the 6-pounder on the Gravedigger. As you can see, that's a very longer barrel, which gives it a much higher velocity when it leaves the barrel, which is why it has so much penetration. But yeah, so high explosive, yeah, nothing too surprising there at the low damage, at the low penetration, nor of the low damage overall, of 90 for AP, 75 for APCR, and 110. So pretty standard 6-pounder, sort of 57mm damage there, nothing too exciting. However, the dispersion, it is a 0.3 dispersion, which makes it a very accurate sniping gun, even if it doesn't have particularly great damage. Aiming time, however, doesn't quite reflect that, because it does have a 4.2 second aim time, which is not that great at all. So you could try and use it as a sniper, but it's probably inadvisable because of its A, very large size, and also B, because of the fact that it is just an autoloader, which does have a very quick auto-loading system, but the aim time is pretty lacking, so you would only be able to get 1, maybe 2 shots fully aimed before the target is gone out of your sight, and you would only have done around 180 damage, which wouldn't be worth it. And of course, the looks of this thing, it does have a very nice exterior. As you can see, it's all very sort of rusted, got spikes everywhere. It's made to look like it's come from a scrapyard. Not only that, it does have these fins on the back, but more importantly, it does have this whole arrangement on the front of the tank, which is some sort of ramming device, which makes it a very good ramming tank, because of course that's just sort of spikes on there. As to whether or not it's a hitbox for actually ramming, I don't know, but by the looks of it, it's designed for ramming. As to whether they've modelled that, again, yeah, not too sure, but who wouldn't be afraid of having something like this bearing down on you with these spikes ready to impale your tank? So yeah. As for provisions, you've of course got standard and improved fuel for 3 and 10% respectively to crew mastery. To engine power and turret reverse. Then you've got tinned food and field rations for 3 and 10% respectively to crew mastery. Then you've got your protective kit, 15% protection to crew from injuries, 10% speed and roger repair, 20% fire protection, and 10% ammo and fuel tank durability. So there's all that. Consumables, yep, standard repair, first aid, fire extinguisher. Engine power boost, 20% to engine power for 15 seconds. No adrenaline because it is an autoloader, so adrenaline wouldn't help when it's just an auto-loading system. And then you've got your multi-purpose, which is the top 3 things there rolled into one. As for the ammo, it does carry 96 rounds, which is enough to see you through any battle. So you can go ahead, mount up as much of this, that and the other as you want. Unlike the 87, you don't need to have a lot of APCR, because with 170 penetration you are able to get through a lot of things frontally, and with the accuracy you're able to aim for weak spots anyway, so it is a solid 57mm gun, even if it is at a tier 7. As for equipment, improved vents, you don't really need the extra penetration because it does have decent enough penetration and accuracy to go for those weak spots if you can't just power through the armor anyway. So definitely improved vents for the slight buff to everything. Improved modules for the extra track HP, because if you look at it, it is a lot like a Churchill 1 in the regards that the tracks are very open and they will take a lot of hits. Perhaps not on purpose, but just because of how open and exposed they are to enemy fire, the tracks will end up getting blown off, especially by howitzers. So like the Churchill one, they will soak up a lot of damage, so the extra track HP is probably a good idea. Then you've got coated optics is probably the better idea. Could try this as a sniper, but like I was explaining with the gun earlier, not that best of an idea because of the large silhouette and also the fact that it's an autoloader. They don't make very good snipers. You're sort of wasting the potential. Then enhanced gun aim drive you'll want for the extra gun aim time. Because it is a very long aim time anyway, so anything to get that down a little bit. Enhanced armor is always useful, especially on this sloped armor, just able to stop anything in its path. Then I would say improved control. I'd say improved control just to get that traverse speed above the 30 degrees per second threshold, which gives it just that slight edge of maneuverability. Refined gun, because 0.33 down to 0.30 is always a nice thing. So I mean, you could go for vertical stabilizers just to get down the accuracy, but I've just gone with refined gun. Either of them are a good choice, so it is down to personal preference for that one. Then I'll say enhanced tracks, just for the extra suspension HP, and then your choice of those 2 things. So overall, it is a solid heavy tank. I do think it is a good tank. I probably prefer it over the Scavenger, which is why I haven't got the Scavenger, due to just a number of reasons, but I do think that the Gravedigger is the better tank of the 2. Again, haven't played the Scavenger, but just purely basing it on videos and other means. It is a very solid tier 7 heavy tank. It is very large, and rather perhaps unwieldy, and it does have the autoloader 6-pounder, but it is a very good gun. I do think it, even though it is only a 57mm at tier 7, it is a very good gun, able to get off a good amount of burst damage, 540 on average, if all 6 shots hit and penetrate. The exposed tracks are always a good other line of defense against shots incoming, because they will most likely soak up the shot. It does have a couple of weak spots, obviously the cupola there, this frontal cheek here, and more than likely this turret ring. But other than that, the armour is very solid, and it's just a decent enough tank. I'll thank you all for watching, and goodbye.